Experienced trekkers know there is only one way to approach a trek, and that's boots and all. So, inevitably, the night before the start is big. It's big in anticipation, big in fun, and big in haircuts. There's a tingle in the air and a glint in every trekker's eye.
How are we today? It's going to be a very spiffing trip. It's our first, but we are looking forward to it.
It's an evening when you start new friendships and renew old ones. But for Stephen Knox, it's also big in worry. He has spent 12 months plotting a trip through some of the most remote and spectacular country Australia has to offer. But just as the trip is about to begin, the drought that has racked all of the outback for years seems set to break tomorrow.
We have got some problems with weather. Tomorrow won't be a problem, I hope. In fact, it may not be a problem all the way, but it's raining in Alice Springs, it has been raining in Tibooburra. The roads have been closed in and out of Tibooburra.
Ladies and gentlemen.
But the rain is the last thing on anyone's mind tonight. It's time for the team from Just Cuts to set the fashion trend for this year's trek. Their mission is to make sure that everyone is styled, shaved, and permed if necessary for the week ahead. And, needless to say, raise some money for the doctor.
This is what life's about. A flying doctor. Fabulous roll-up, what a great night tonight, and a beaut trip, a really good trip. Let's hope it doesn't rain.
I want to go a different colour, completely.
Lynn is the best hairdresser you've ever seen in your entire life.
Hello, how are you?
Hang on, it's gone up to 200. It's gone up to 200.
Done it for the doctors.
Maitland in the Upper Hunter Valley is home of many loyal and long-standing trekkers. For years, they've been keen to start the trek from their hometown, not only so they don't have to get up so early, but also to show off their beautiful town and region. Home of some of the world's best Semillon, the Hunter Valley is a fitting place to begin a trek that will end in the Barossa Valley, home of some of the world's best Shiraz.
Hey, have a look at that, mate. Plenty of sausages there, eh, brother?
I'm Bruce Dimmock, president of the Rutherford Talara Rotary Club, and we're doing it for the doctor.
It's the way to start the day, I tell you.
Down to Barossa Valley.
Yeah,
Out and have some fun.
I've been told it's a lot of fun, so that's what I'm going to do.
The theme this year is... You mean you have to ask? So is the Mustang a virgin on the event this year?
She's a virgin. She's done 400 kilometres. Car 38. We're doing it for the doctor.
A little bit sideways, a bit blue sky, some wonderful cuisine.
Well, we've got 36 gallons of petrol in the back, so she's very heavy.
Took the money first.
Thank you.
No way. Safe driving, have lots of fun, a couple of drinks on the way, and get lots and lots of money for the Royal Flying Doctor.
Looking forward to this year?
Yep, we certainly are.
Good to see some familiar faces.
Oh, I wasn't here last year, but...
Yeah, but then over here there's sort of strangely familiar faces.
Bring them on! Come on!
Without any more delay, Norman Ridge, who has started every one of the 15 treks so far, leads the Telstra contingent out for the 2004 Telstra Flying Doctor Outback Trek. easy run on the blacktop to Gloucester for morning tea, put on by the local schools, warms the drivers for a more demanding mountainous run up and over Barrington Tops.
Overheated, and the transmission's playing up on it. We're sort of just looking at all our options.
Well, as a matter of interest, we're at 76.8 right now. Okay, thanks guys, we're just passing that Yukon trailer now at 19, one coming towards Yukon trailer, coming at 80.
In the middle of this spectacular country is Elliston, where lunch is put on by the local P&C.
Elliston Public School was established 125 years ago. It's a small community based on rural people and very supportive of the school and the children that have attended the school are past 125 years.
Car's owned by Dad, and he's mad on rattles, and they've stopped every 10 Ks for the rattles. Can't you see everything under their bonnet? Everyone's been identified as a rattle. And now it could be the rattle.
Oh, that's a deeper one.
Oh, good on you, mate, thanks. Look at that. You're a lucky fella, aren't you?
Another 150 k's down the road, and Coonabarabran, on the edge of the beautiful Warrumbungles, welcomes us for the night.
Morning, gents. How's it going?
Oh, very well for day two.
That's right. Not as cold as I thought,
No.
so that's good.
Last time I was in this town, it was freezing.
Oh, yeah.
Very cold. It's not bad, as long as the rain stays away.
Apparently it's cleared up.
Has it?
Further up, yeah.
Good morning, I'm Bob from the Rotary Club of Coonabarabran and we're doing this all for the doctor.
Day two dawned with low temperatures, but high spirits.
It's a good day yesterday, just getting it ready today. Just adjusting the seat belt up.
Got to comb the butts out of it in the morning because people butt their cigarettes in my hair.
We're the Global Trekkers and we're doing it for the doctor.
An An unusually long morning was ahead with a good 382 kilometres before lunch. But the crew from car 111CX had a remedy for any hunger pangs with a box of Krispy Kreme donuts for every car.
$20 donation. Well, you buy the hat for 20 and you get the donuts for nothing.
3 donuts.
20. Now do your heart a favour, come on.
Oh, right, thanks.
No, we got no more donuts. I don't want any. I'm full of donuts, mate. I'm bursting.
This is the deal of a lifetime. To make this car look cheap. Here we go. $20 for the hat and we'll throw the donuts in for nothing.
Now the bus can carry about 40 people, so you can do about 60 donuts. Do you really need those?
Not really, no, actually, Ron. No, funnily enough, I don't. Yeah. I think there's some bloke on the other side standing it through the window.
That's been hello.
The hole in the middle bit's the low-fat bit.
Yeah, that's right. I can imagine.
We're looking good here with our Krispy Kreme.
Ah, this is awesome.
This is the deal of a lifetime. Hat's $20, donuts are nothing. There you go. That's great. Hard a bit slow this morning. This'll get them going. Deep fried.
Well, you're very kind. Thank you very much. You have a lovely day. Bye-bye. See ya.
We off?
Off ready for a nice day.
Now you go left and then right.
Left, yeah, got that. Left, right.
Tailpipe broke off.
98, are you there?
And the muffler's hanging off. Not looking good.
This is the mechanic who just cuts. He fixes everything. He's the best on this planet. It's Eric Johnson, just cuts. Own mechanic.
The long morning was broken by smoko at Corinda Public School, where all 11 pupils were out to raise as much money as they could for their drought-ravaged school.
Would you like to be immunised against Corinda-itis?
Yes, I would, for a gold coin. I'll have one.
Hello.
Hello back in Sydney. G'day. Oh, we're in the country. G'day.
We like wearing pajamas, yes, as long as they're not red.
Telstra 1, I think the car behind you calling you on channel 3 trying to get past.
Mate, where you go? If there's a bridge up here, if you can fit past, you go for your life.
Lunch at Burke was held at the brand new Backerburg Exhibition Centre, an ambitious local tourist project aimed at highlighting the history and culture of the area.
Name's Stu, yeah, Burke Lions Club, absolutely supporting Royal Flying Doctor Service as we should be. So yeah, what a great cause, and much rice and much food had today, so it's been a great thing for Burke. Thank you very much.
A glorious sunset and some ominous clouds accompanied the trek on the last few k's to Ford's Bridge. Could this be the start of the rain that Stephen was worried about? Either way, nothing was going to spoil the mood of the first night in the real outback at the famous heritage-listed Warrego Hotel.
Clean undies!
You're the interviewee, not the interviewer.
Ugly Pixie.
Pixie's
See, look.
case. Pixie's case.
Pixie, are your teeth in? The camera's on.
Now, every trekker knows the nights in these isolated spots are special. Everyone is together, camping under the stars, and tonight was no exception.
Blake joins the French Foreign Legion. You see, one of the things he's stuck out in the deserts of Morocco.
Bridge 10 k's up the road, you won't get across that night because there they are, right over there.
But it's a great fire.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
You see, what you've got to understand, this isn't a dress rehearsal, this is the real thing.
Hello.
He needs to come back home to his fireplace. It's getting cold.
As a special surprise, Stephen has arranged for Andrew Hull, a well-known bush poet, to come up from Burke and spin a few yarns for us.
The hell flippin' blow fast malfun, he said. 4 o'clock fuck all real fitty.
In typical bush fashion, when Andrew was asked how much it was going to cost for this,
He said, I'll do it for the doctor. So I want to make sure that this bloke doesn't buy a beer all night. Okay? Andrew Hull?
It might have sounded good in the mild Hunter Valley climbs, one of those things that seemed like a good idea at the time. We'll drive a mob of old cars out towards bloody Ayers Rock, and we'll get a lot of help because we're doing it for the dog. Now, Steve's a master planner. Well, that's the way it seems. When he's gone and rounded up nearly 100 trekking teams, and they've travelled in from everywhere to join this merry dance, like Les the Pom from England and Kevin in from France. And speaking of bloody French, you'd swear Napoleon was here, but they say he sounds just like Fozzie after he's had a couple of beers. And the bananas in pyjamas, they're here to catch us unawares, but they're doing it for the doc today and not the teddy bears. Now, when it comes to the machinery, you can feel a touch of guilt if you're the one hammering to death the cars that Cranky Frankie built. And Sid Fireworks Howard, the pyrotechnics man, he says he'll do you a better hairstyle than the Just Cuts crew can. And he's got a few crackers saved up for car free after eating a real cockroach at the big send-off tea. So if you see him near your tailpipe, get ready for a shock. But don't get mad, remember that he's doing it for the doc. It's all running smoothly, says Noxie with a nervous little laugh, while he hopes the Flying Doc doesn't get called in on your behalf. And there's a lot of miles to go before his job is fully done, and he's put in the work so that you can have the fun. And the Dumb and Dumber dogs have surely bought their share of smiles, but I bet those suits are smelly after another 1,000 miles. And Dredgy, the bar at Cameron's Corner might be the place you want to be, but the people out there wish they were all in your bar at Circular Quay. From valley through to valley, you'll cross a lot of land with Telstra as a sponsor to support and lend a hand, and with all the many supporters that I'm sure you all know well, they'll give you memories and a bloody good tale to tell. You've got a trip ahead of you and many miles to run until you crack a cold one in the Barossa Valley sun. But for the people in the bush who trust the service like a rock, we're bloody glad you're out there doing it for the dog. Thank you.
For the rain never falls on the Forbridge congregation, and Willow always knew where his stuff was. But the swags will dry out, so they say, but the virgins don't believe you. But we'll do it for the doctor and the cause.
Morning. In 4 years there's been no rain here, and you'd back yourself when it go to bed and the stars in the sky, you think there's going to be no rain. But we got a friendly 20 points. But we've been up since 4 o'clock, drying all the gear so we can have a warm night tonight.
The rain does wonderful things. It brings us together,
makes us uncomfortable together, makes me worried about the roads, but it's looking all right. I think we're okay. I think we'll make it. The angels are with us.
Well, we had a lovely night's sleep here in Fords Bridge. It was just been a terrific night's sleep.
I did.
We had a little bit of precipitous weather.
Very nice and dry last night.
Absolutely. That's why we put the fly on.
Big night.
Big one. Another one.
You guys get wet?
A little bit before we ducked for cover. Had to readjust the bedding for a while. Apart from that, we didn't get too wet. Didn't last long. Didn't notice.
Despite the damp start, there was an excitement amongst the trekkers. Today was the start of the tough roads, areas where there were no alternatives or easy ways round, and the downpour during the night had just added to the challenge.
You get some good stuff today, boys.
So what's the day hold in store for us?
About 10 or 12 kilometres of slop, and then dry as a bone after that, I hope.
And it didn't take long for the fun to start.
Morning.
See what I mean? Mate, I've got heaps of make me slow down a lot more ahead of us. Woohoo!
Feel it tight?
Oh, yeah, you feel it tight.
Driving in these testing conditions is one of the great thrills of trekking. Skills that would never normally be used are called upon without warning, but the consequences for the vehicles can range from annoying
Excuse me just a minute.
to quite serious.
We just lost a wheel going down the straight. We were going along very comfortable till the wheel went past us.
So, we've got this really flash oil filter they gave us, and it's supposed to be fabulous, and it pisses out oil. So we've lost the whole sub's worth of oil. It'll drop the dust though, it's a good thing.
Look out, boys, it's Sammy Lucas.
Hey, there it is.
What do you guys
There's Paul.
Broken fuel hose.
What we've done is filled the boot up with fuel. So, we're on a time bomb here.
Well, it's great for the kids to have all these people and see the different cars and everything come through, and it's great. Well, it's obviously great for the shop and that, but yeah, and for the good cause as well. We have the services of the Flying Doctor and every fortnight, and if we can help as well, it's great.
Problems, or you just
Just changing the fuel filters, a little bit of a problem, but nothing I can't supervise.
Really just want to check the gearbox oil level, and to do that we need to remove the backing plate. To remove the backing plate we need to get 2 screws out. In 1 hour, 10 minutes we've done one. Now we're working on the second one.
Nice bit of mud, some nice dirt roads afterwards, it was good.
Yep.
Good morning, bit of fun.
Yep, it's been going that direction all day.
Forward.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun actually. It's a lot of fun, but it was very, very good.
We're looking forward to Tibooburra tonight. A couple more drinks, a bit of bonding.
We've done a few spins in the mud and really had a good time trying to get across the wet section. But we made good time in the end. Yeah.
We're 200 kilometres west of Burke, all dirt road. We've got 17 kids at Wanaring. We're the most isolated one-teacher school in the state, but we're fairly well resourced, as you can see around our school. You're seeing it at a good time. We've had plenty of rain, so it's nice and green. But the Flying Doctor means a lot to Wanaring because that's how we're serviced medically. Every fortnight we have a Flying Doctor clinic, and tomorrow happens to be our clinic. And we get specialists occasionally, and a doctor comes every fortnight and a nurse, and they set up down at our clinic, which is getting renovations currently. And people come from over 100 kilometres to come in and see the doctor. So the Flying Doctor means a lot to Wanaring, and things such as this are great to see.
Wanaring Public School, we're doing it for the doctor.
With cups of tea and typically wonderful country cakes from Wanaring Public School to calm the nerves, the trek continued on its way to Tibooburra. The roads returning to their usual form, red, dusty and straight. But some of the cars can't stay on the straight and narrow. This is where the support vehicles are so critical to running the trek. They not only back up their own trek cars, but they also help any other cars that might need a hand. In this case, not only was it big points for the support teams, but big points for girl power.
Leisurely Sunday afternoon, what day is it? Wednesday, Thursday, whatever day it is.
Hi, we're from Telstra Creek and we're doing it for the doctor.
Lunch at Telstra Creek was a welcome respite after such an eventful morning, but the fun wasn't over yet. The rains were spread over a wide area of the outback and the roads were definitely affected.
Now, what we're going to do, now we're going to Tibooburra, but we're going via this White Cliffs to Cobham Road. So you're going to go down this road in front of us, about 60 k's. You'll hit a T intersection, follow the signs to Cobham.
Okay, David.
The team from Telstra arrived in Tibooburra early to set up a huge display of internet and telecommunication technology for the local community. They will also be making a donation of equipment to the local Outback Mobile Resource Unit. This is a mobile toy library and also provides childcare and help for isolated families.
Yeah, it's good that the Flying Doctor Treck comes to town. It leaves a bit of money in Tibooburra. It's hard to get money in Tibooburra it's a very small community. Yeah, it's just an ideal way to fundraise for Tibooburra from outside sources, yeah.
Hey. Road test or donation to the kids?
The whole town is excited about the Treck's visit and they're making the most of it.
These young kids will tell you all about it.
Ah, we're sweet. We only need one each.
Yeah, thanks.
You have a good day.
So you keep the $50. What are you buying for the school with it?
We're from Tibooburra Outback School of the Air, and we're fundraising to go to the Gold Coast for an excursion.
Meanwhile, most of the trekkers are still out on the road, taking in the rugged beauty of this remote region.
Greatest concern that we've had all the way along has been weather. Because, will we make it? Should we go there? If we do, will we get rained in? But we have been amazingly lucky. I mean, I just cannot believe. I reckon it's John Flynn and Fred Mackay up there having a word with the old bloke and saying, now listen, when I was down there, I did a lot of good stuff, and these people are helping us. So you better make sure that they get the little bit of blue sky that runs across. Look after the farmers next week.
We've decided it's going to be an all-girls team next year, and we're going to get a really comfortable vehicle, something with pre-made beds, bathroom, air conditioning.
Air conditioning, yeah.
No men. Yes.
No men. No men.
Except in a big man behind us, like you say, in case we do break Except down. if we get have a problem.
You've actually got a real one with you.
They look like pretty sharp prickles. Might need a Panadol after touching that thing. It gives me great pleasure, Vicky, to present to you on behalf of Telstra $3,000 worth of toys, the Outback Mobile Resources Library, and the kids will get a great deal of pleasure out of that, I'm sure.
It seems to be a fact of the trek that the further west you get, the bigger the problems get. After 3 days on the road, everyone has a tale to tell, but some cars have more than their share of trouble. But there's no grumbling, because the trouble is part of the fun.
Here we are, before sun, just taking this out to clean it. There's actually nothing wrong with it. We just really want this car to look right as we go into the next leg, so we just sort of give it a bit of a clean. And you can't clean the back of it unless you take it out, you see. So that's what we thought we'd do.
Andre, how'd you break it, mate?
What? That?
The crown.
Going through all that rough stuff yesterday. The creek beds and the water, and just shook loose and snapped. So Dave gets the blame.
Aussie's Dave.
I was driving, but Dave gets the blame.
It's been a mixture of weather. One day a bit of rain, and the next day a bit of dust, and quite a mixture, which I think alleviates a bit of the boredom of just dust all day long and dust all day long.
Morning, sir. How are we today? Breath test or donation to the Tibooburra of the Air? Donation. Thank you very much.
Okay, what's What's the length of time today?
133 k's.
Excellent.
Estimated time about 1 hour and 40, which will take it up to corner country, Cameron's Corner. And it looks like we're being either sold or given something up here this morning. There you go. No, we didn't actually.
There was the one that we didn't.
Time, Peter.
Absolutely.
We're very well behaved.
Yeah, mate. Well done. Thank you.
Lead rare for me.
Yep. Thanks.
No, not even registered.
There you go.
Have a good day.
Lucky you haven't got the cocaine tester.
Tibooburra is the most northwesterly town in New South Wales and only a short drive in Treck terms, 133 k's, to Cameron Corner, where 3 states, New South Wales, Queensland and South Australia meet. This corner country is undoubtedly one of the most spectacular areas in Australia, especially after rain. The roads are good and the skies are clear. What more could a trekker want?
It's all Knox's fault. He ran me off the road, you know. What did you do? I pulled over to let him pass. I pulled over to let Stephen Knox pass, and that's what happened. I'm blaming you for this, Stephen.
Yeah, it's a price of courtesy. You very kindly offered to pull over, and did he ever?
Smashed the steering box. Over there. Him, that bloke there. He was driving. I was a mere navigator. Too fast.
Well, it's very hard to navigate and drive at the same time with no instructions about to slow down. I did it a little bit too quickly.
We get a chance and we pass the B1, B2, we're going to smoke and we're going to fill them in with fog. Yeah, we'll just merge you on over to the left here. You come on up the centre.
Nasty, Ian, nasty.
Keep the momentum up through it. Keep it going.
Never rolling. Here we go.
The rain has left some challenging puddles for the trek, but some puddles are bigger than others.
Everybody okay? Anyone know? Might have to go back that way.
Turn around.
Cameron Corner's shop is the first and last petrol for hundreds of k's in either direction, so most cars needed a top-up here. For the local pump jockey, there was a bit more traffic than usual, but nothing to get excited about.
So you're a little bit busy today, buddy?
Oh, yeah. It's more than normal, yeah. All right.
What I suggest you do is go and sit down and have a drink and I'll come and re-examine you again, but you might have to just hang on for a little while. That's it.
We're just driving along and we came up to a bend, and left-hand side of the bend was all puddled with water, and I didn't anticipate the sharpness in the bend, and it was going at probably travelling at about 100 kilometres an hour at the time, and sort of came to slow down, but went around the water and just lost the back end out, and it just spun around, and I was hoping to let it spin out, but it just caught on an embankment and it just tipped over.
You'll also notice in the road book that there is a point that needs to be made on behalf of the people who own Moolawatna Station, which is not sort of legally but notionally where we're having lunch. There's a public road that runs through Moolawatna called the Mount Hopeless Track, and we're having lunch on the Mount Hopeless Track. It's being supplied by our friends from Arkaroola. They're bringing up about 100 k's up the track to meet us there. So we have to acknowledge that is their area, and I just ask you to do what you always do. Be very respectful of that property. Don't leave any rubbish behind. Enjoy a quick lunch from the Arkaroola people and head off to Copley.
We've had this amazing window of weather that we've travelled through. Maybe because we've had that rain, it's added a dimension. If you could organise these things to that sort of detail, you tune in a little bit of rain, you tune in a little bit of dust, and you just get that nice mixture where a little bit of slipping and sliding is fun without damaging the road, without getting into strife, without turning cars over. And that's exactly what we've had. We had nice slippery roads, but then once you've had your fun, the mud clears and you get a bit of dust and away you go. Scenery's been fabulous. A number of people who came to me last night and said that day down through the Mount Hopeless Track and the Flinders Ranges, it is just spectacular country. And the rainbows, did you see the rainbows? All those things that you probably would rather didn't happen because they don't usually go right were just perfect for us.
Last year, a number of teams spent a considerable time in Copley, separated from the trek doing repairs, and were impressed by the friendliness there. So this year, the whole trek is back to say thanks, spend the night and some money.
I'm also very pleased to be able to say the umpteenth time Richard Ward has come up from Adelaide voluntarily. Well,
120 bit back here. 120 the bit down, 121.
Stephen is always amazed by the generosity of supporters with donations of valuable items for the annual Trek auction. This year there were so many items the auction had to be split over 3 nights to give the trekkers time to forget how much money they spent the night before.
It went very well, yes. A world record for a Pro Heart limited edition print. We have so much stuff that's been given to us that, as you say, we had to split the auctions. So last night's was general holidays and sailing on the harbour and computers and all sorts of good things. A car, of course, that was a star event. The Flying Doctor was given a fairly new Suzuki Liana sedan, and that was sold for $13,250, which was a little bit above its reserve. A good buy for the person who bought it, but a wonderful result for the Doctor.
Well done, sir. Well ball, 250.
Day 5 promises to be more than challenging. This area is harsh, to say the least. As the Trek Bible says, it looks as though a lizard would be hard-pressed to get a feed. And with all the rain that's been around, there's a surprise around every corner. It's no surprise then that some of the teams have taken advantage of the facilities in Copley to do some crucial maintenance.
Not filming here.
Sorry?
Not allowed to film in here.
Why's that?
Because we're all criminals.
Oh, fair enough.
Speak for yourself.
What do you guys need?
Radius rod bush. It's about yay long. With a big bush on the end of it.
For For Stephen and the officials, there's more pressing problems than not looking your best in the morning.
I was just contemplating a couple of calls. I didn't want to be filmed this time of the day. Good morning.
The rain has made the planned route through Mulgaria Station impassable, and an alternate route must be decided and surveyed.
If the worst came to the worst, we could go everywhere we need to go now on bitumen, so the pressure's off. But we don't want to do that, we want to stick to the dirt. And as we speak, John Fiddler and John Stoddart are out there surveying the road, and I'm almost certain that we'll be going to Maree, up the Udnadatta track, down the Borefield Road, into Roxby Downs, and out to Andamuka, where lunch is being prepared for us. And because we're taking a longer route but an easier one, we'll actually probably get there about the right time. So it's almost as though nothing happened. Almost.
All right, no worries. We're still at the start. We haven't sent them.
Okay, so just to confirm that, the road to Maree is fine. Send everybody on the alternative route. Okay, and what time will we be going? At 8:15 still? Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you. I just want a gold coin or anything like that, but for you, $10. How you going? 3 questions this morning. There you go, guys. Just a coin.
As we pass Farina, a ghost town that speaks volumes for the courage of the early settlers, there's little time for sightseeing. Today's navigators have a more challenging job than usual because of the route change and the need to keep their eyes on the road.
A different route today, Paul. At least we're not going through the property with the sand dunes, I guess because of the rain. So we're going to Maree, which is about a further 80, and then we turn left in Maree to get on the Udnadatta track, and then we turn left off that after about 50, 60 or 70 k's and follow the signs to Roxby Downs.
We've been very lucky with the weather, and all we've lost so far has been that run across through Mulgaria, which was a pity, but I'm sure you'll agree the run up through Maree and across the Borefield Road was very good.
The dog's in the car, Ted. Oh, hello. Hey, come on.
One of the advantages that had that the Bulgaria one didn't have was a pub. So I noticed 700 or 800 of you called in for a beer there. So I was only saying to Peter, you know you're on the trek when you have a beer in the morning, but you know you've been on the trek too long when you feel like a beer in the morning.
The people of the Outback are a surprising mob. Just when you think you've got their measure, you're knocked over by the depth of their commitment and creativity. Out on the Udnadatta track, hundreds of k's from anywhere, we come across an exhibition of monumental and eerie sculptures. Andamuka, like Coobapedy and Lightning Ridge, is one of the most eccentric places where eccentric people from all over the world come with one common interest: opals. It's remote and intriguing, and full of stories of the motherlode. Some of the trekkers decide this was a good place for some souvenirs to keep the folks at home happy. Then, to give everyone a thrill, Car 111CX organised an impressive aerial display.
Well, that's our Cathay Pacific have a Learjet that is based in South Australia for pilot training. So we were hoping for them to do a flyby. We'd actually hoped for them to deliver Krispy Kremes to Woomera, but we ran into technical problems with that. So we had the donuts earlier, and now we got the aircraft.
Such a display was a fitting introduction to our overnight stop in Woomera, a town that holds an unsurpassed role in our aerospace history.
Ron, would you like a hotel for the evening?
Yes.
Just down the road and 2 streets to your right, another 2 to your left, and you can check into the Eldo Hotel at Woomera.
Okay, mixed dozen reds, lot 1.
Tonight's auction items were confined to a single very popular product: wine. An impressive array of lots were on offer, ranging from single bottles to a very special put together by long-time friends and supporters, the Santos boys.
800, thank you very much.
Raising $3,600 from that lot alone, the whole night was a huge success. Woomera turned on a beautiful clear morning, although there were already changes being made to the route because of the rain. But before everyone got on the road, there were a few chores to be seen to. Fix the cars, look at the rockets, and buy a Bundy mug for the festivities that night at Mount Island.
Selling the Bundy mugs today for the traditional Bundy stock. All money goes directly straight to the doctor.
Just when you get to the last mouthful of your Bundy, you got something crunchy to chew.
A big wet kid.
Bundy mugs! Bundy mugs! Bundy mugs!
Recent rain on Wirramina Station would mean a detour along the Stuart Highway. But this meant there was more time to spend at the Lake Hart rocket range.
We will leave at the time it says in the book, and we will go out to the Lake Hart rocket range where the launches are, and we'll see these fabulous old concrete structures. Someone said Sid Howard should go because he's the only bloke here who knows how to use them. So we might send Sid out first with a couple of skyrockets, but you'll see this wonderful pair of concrete bunkers and what's left of the causeway where the rockets went out on the gantries into place, and up they went, and all the flames and afterburner went out across Lake Hart. It's a beautiful thing to see. I know there aren't many of us, but those of us who are older enough to remember what happened in the 50s and 60s when Australia was really at the cutting edge of space technology as it was at the time. It's something we learned about in school, and it's good to see.
Having a temporary stop, we're digging for gerbils. There's a gerbil hole down there, and we're gerbil farmers, in case you didn't know. And we're decanting fuel to fire up the gerbil digger. We've got the GPS here. This is a gerbil finder.
And this entire trip, what we've had to do, we need to find various colonies of gerbils because we don't want crossbreeding, interbreeding. You have to have very strong
genetic
breeds.
variation. The various gerbils.
He's into it now.
The various gerbils around Australia.
He's picking up on the theme.
The excitement potential is just
He's
enormous.
He's in.
Like all good cockroaches, the team from car Free have survived any fallout at the rocket range. If anything, they seem to be getting stronger. Maybe it's the Bundy. To study their survival techniques, they have kindly allowed us to film in their natural habitat.
Hey Bruce, will say hello. Hello.
Kingunya, we have a big lunch organised, and the people who are catering for that are a company called ESS Proprietary Limited, and they're travelling from Roxby Downs out to Kingunya, where the pub has been closed for years, and when Jill and I were there on the final survey, we were amazed to see a bloke sitting on the front veranda with a sign at the front saying the pub's open. It's sort of semi-open, but and they're doing it up, and I think they're very brave to have taken a 10-year lease on the place. ESS and their fancy uniforms and the beautiful lunch you'll get tomorrow, I think will be a lovely contrast.
Actually, where we're heading at now, we're heading from Kingunya to the Mount Ive. Distance is 221 kilometres.
Give it heaps. Give it a good gusto. Give it shit.
Okay. Oh shit, John!
The driver's not that bad these days. Driver, sit out. Sit out, driver. You've got to get it right. You've got to get it right. You've got to go this way, then that way, all together.
Oh, there we go. Stage 2 at Tape, we're actually adding music to our...
Now he is.
That's it, yeah.
Drum boy says to John, Yeah, the bloody radio's a bit of a pain, and he says, yeah, the tapes go up and down a little bit. You've got to keep adjusting it.
Low guy in the back before it comes on the main, mate. Look at that. Tell us what tribe you belong to, mate. That's actually scary. We're in a hurry to the course with the Bundy run tonight.
These roads are tough, and 6 days in these conditions are beginning to take their toll, especially on the cars, pushing hard to drive for the traditional Bundy stop.
What's happening here? That's supposed to be straight, and that's supposed to be straight. Just a bit of a minor letdown. We've got a rotor off our brand new distributor, which unfortunately was shorting out. So for something so stupid and so small, a team has been let down by something that cost about $5.
The winding road through the rugged Gawler Ranges lead us to Mount Ove Station, where the trekkers will celebrate their last night on the road.
Yeah, we do, and there's an oncoming vehicle.
Good afternoon. Hello, boys. How are we going? Fine. We had a good day? We had a great day. And yourself? Good. No, not too bad. A bit cold, but other than that, yeah.
It may be a bit chilly and a bit windy, but no one will be cold when they go to bed tonight.
It's probably the tanker full of Bundy.
Afternoon.
Hello, lads. It's a horrible place. We just can't relax.
No,
I'm really sorry about earlier on the corner. I wasn't aiming the car at you, it just went that way.
I haven't seen you three move so bloody quick.
This could be the last thing that I'm ever filmed doing.
Oh, good mouthful.
Good night, Dick.
Mother's milk. Now the afterburn is here.
Lucky I don't smoke. Christ, that's
Yeah.
This is the traditional Bundy stop that we have here every year, and it's going off exceptionally well.
Oh, that'll be right. Hey, John, there's no cockroaches in there.
Now,
Hungerford, we developed this system.
This system here, and this way we can get rid of about 60 litres of rum and coke in about 2 hours and 13 seconds. So,
But I think we've got 80 litres of rum tonight to get rid of.
Oh, 80. We've upped the ante. 80 litres of rum.
These oysters are the creme de creme of Eyre Peninsula. It comes from Smoky Bay, and absolutely superb. We're doing them natural or Kilpatrick, which is the secret recipe for the Kilpatrick from Cordon Bleu, from a long line of French chefs. Bon appetit.
Every year, the RFDS send a medical team on the trek to supply any treatment that might be needed. Dr. Bill and Nurse Meg have come along this year, and up till this morning, Dr. Bill hasn't had to get out his first aid kit at all. A couple of stitches will do the trick for this trekker, and maybe a throat lozenge for the good doctor.
We can dub your voice in, mate.
Doesn't like getting up in the mornings.
The last few miles down the road on the last day are always a bit subdued, but that doesn't mean the cars behave themselves. There are always last-minute breakdowns and flat tyres. Sometimes it's not only the man fixing the tyre who gets dirty. It doesn't take long to leave the dirt behind and get onto the bitumen. Civilization, mobile phone coverage, traffic lights, and real coffee.
Love it. Oh, lattes, cappuccinos, M&Ms.
As we pass beautiful rolling hills and acres of vines, we know we've entered into wine country. The Clare Valley rolls into the Barossa Valley, and the finishing line is in our sights. The journey from Semelon to Shiraz is complete. The 2004 Telstra Flying Doctor Outback Trek has raised $1.2 million through the generosity and hard work of all involved. The only thing left to survive, the finishing line.
Yes, I'll definitely be back next year.
Oh, it was a good event.
And the high for me was Woomera, I think.
Excellent trek. Had a great time.
Really good. Except for this.
I think that was a payback for various crimes committed on the trek.
Another one.
Number 15, I can't believe it. I was a young man when I started this. Now look at me, covered in powder, I guess. I think the most memorable moments for me have been the nighttime stops, and that's often the case. Most recently, last night at Mount Hope Station, it was a fabulous night. It rained a bit, but no one seemed to notice. It did mean the Bundy stopped after only 5 hours instead of 7. But that was just such a wonderful place and a great experience for everyone there. Tibooburra Street closure was great. Copley in the community hall, wonderful result with the auctions, both auctions. The one at Woomera was fantastic too. Rob Lane did a great job for us. It really is about the people you meet, I think, along the way. It's the Terro Creek, one of the very isolated property which is really struggling, and what they do to make a living makes us look like starters. And I will never ever complain again about working hard or doing it tough. And yet not a complaint, and smiles in the face, love to have us there, fabulous lunch, all the money goes to someone else, not them, just country people and outback people in particular are fabulous, and you don't meet them unless you go on something like this.
The bunny ears made it okay though?
No. Broke them.
Yeah. 4 bottles of wine, yeah. I always say that the perfect mix is a lot of the regulars, the veterans as we call them, and a sprinkling of virgins, because if you only get veterans, it'll eventually die, as they do, and they lose interest and it becomes stale because it's the same old thing. And if you only had new people, then there'd be no tradition, no of this business of spraying, no Bundy stops and the things that make it special. So the mixture is excellent.
Nothing's refreshing as that.
Excellent, mate, excellent. And it's also good to know that there are young people coming in, and that's got a lot of good news for the event in the long term. And the event's got a life of its own. I mean, $1 million a year would be missed sorely by the Flying Doctor. So whenever it's time for me to hang up my boots, there's got to be someone to take it on, because they'd miss it enormously.
Oh, marvellous, mate. Give the man a lolly.
Here you are, have a lolly.
Will we do it again? Yes. Yeah, spectacular roads.
Well.
Hasn't been an easy road getting to the trek.
Barossa reminders. Hello.
Oh. I'll try that again.
Drag trip. Yeah, it was a good trip.
It's been a long trip, hasn't it? It certainly has. How are you? Good.
We had a sensational time.
I think Ford's Bridge and our last night was excellent.
It's been the highlight. Oh, well, we're still talking.
The highlights, every day's a highlight on this trip.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's me again. So would you welcome, please, Mr. John Milhidge, President of the South Eastern Section of the RPS of Australia.
we'd just like to say how grateful we are.
For that 900, third and final call, your Solomon. Have a good evening. See you next year.
Shut up. That Mr. Knox here will soon be turning 60.
Thank and congratulate Telstra for a contribution to the Treck in the $115,000. Let me start with the Golden Theme Award.
What's 6 is B1 and B2?
I really don't know of anyone who loves the Treck and loves the Flying Doctor more than Mike does.
Car 49, doing it for the Doctor.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll be at his Aussie best in a couple of weeks.
Hard luck. If we had to give an award for hard luck, there'd be a lot of people, but I really think the bloke who has suffered the most is Anthony Gollan. He is hard luck personified.
The 82-year-old mother in the car beside you, whining and grovelling the whole way.
I think courtesy, 9K9, got to take the prize. So when Norman dropped the V8 into the Dodge, he became Lightning Ridge. Now he's Johnny Diesel. Rob Wedge and Steve Myers, all the way from Laverton. If you haven't already started the trip home, come and get your award for the furthest travel.
We rely on the doctor as much as everyone does. That's why we make the effort every year.
We like to give an award to the best support, Ilya Kordic and the crew, X26. We also like to award the Rookie of the Year, 888.
It's been an absolutely fantastic experience.
The reason that David and Mark were awarded Rookie of the Year was that they came second with $65,000. So I'm able to tell you that the total has exceeded $1 million.
For the rain never falls on the Forbridge congregation, and Willow always knew where his stuff was. But the swags will dry out, or so they say, mate, the virgins don't believe you. Still we'll do it for the doctor and the cause. Thank you. I'm here till Thursday. Try the wheel.